Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's Veseris Impact Extend Your Reach webinar. We have 4 great speakers lined up, and as a bonus, all attendees who stay for the duration of the webinar will be eligible to win one of 2 $100 Amazon gift cards. Winners will be selected and notified the following week. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you know how to participate in today's event. Here's a quick review of what you'll see on your screen. The viewer is to the left of your screen where you see the presentation. To the right is a control panel where you can ask questions. The control panel will collapse automatically when not in use. To keep it open, click the View menu and uncheck the Auto Hide control panel. You have joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means you are muted. You can submit text questions for each presentation by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time, and we will address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. Also via the control panel, you can download resource documents that our presenters have provided by going to the Handouts pane anytime during the webinar. Later today, you will receive a follow-up email that contains a recording of the webinar along with the contact information for each presenter. So if you have questions that don't get answered today, you can reach out to them directly. With that, I'll turn it over to Veseris Digital Marketing Manager, Jeff Fluckiger, to get us started.
Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Thursday. All right, let's get started. So the first thing is your success defines our values at Veseris, our mission and our vision. Our mission is that we deliver a positive impact. We build trusted relationships, connecting professionals to the products, expertise, and digital tools to exceed their expectations. And our vision is to be the preferred choice of customers, suppliers, and employees as we protect and enrich the environments where we live, work, and play. By putting people first, we guide customers forward, empowering mutual success. All right, so here's the agenda on the screen. Chris has kind of already gone over that. We're going to start with Nisus, and then Santa Fe, Epic, and then wrap up with Veseris, and certainly some questions at the end. Just to give you an idea, some of our different markets that we serve at Veseris, probably a lot more than you might think. And let's get started with Nisus. Dr. Jamel Sandidge, National Director of Technical Services for Nisus Corporation. Dr. J is a board-certified entomologist who holds a master's degree in entomology and a PhD in ecology and evolutionary biology from the University of Kansas. He has been an active member of the pest management industry for 23 years, and his experience ranges from starting his own pest management business to product research and development. Dr. J has been with Nisus Corporation since 2019, where he serves as the National Director of Technical Services. Take it away, Dr. J.
Hello, everybody. Today I wanted to tell you a little bit about getting your foot in the door with small fly management. Small flies are everywhere. Small flies are a problem across the nation. No matter where you go, whether it's a restaurant or a hotel, you're going to run into small flies. So it's a good opportunity to start a new area of your business or expand your offerings in your business. Okay, so if you can successfully eliminate small flies, the door is wide open. Most companies struggle with small flies, and most things like restaurants and food service struggle with small fly management. As we know, small flies carry a lot of diseases, and large flies the same, so they can be treated together. Today I'm going to talk about your commercial and semi-commercial kitchens, food manufacturing, beverage production, and then I'm going to talk about the 3 key steps to success. And those include disinfection, pest elimination, and reproductive control using pesticides, and biosanitation to eliminate organic debris and organic waste. Now, first of all, I'll talk about your profit targets. What are you looking for? And then basically, you're looking for anywhere that you walk in and you get bugged by small flies. So whether that's a lounge in an airport, or if it's a small dining facility that you frequent yourself, the opportunities are kind of limitless. Most of these fast food restaurants don't do a phenomenal job of cleaning, so that buildup and the sanitation issues are what causes small flies. And even in fine dining, you often see small flies hovering around certain areas, especially around bars that don't get cleaned as effectively as they should. Food manufacturing facilities, you really have constant food waste. And the big problem there is your 24-hour production schedule. So you don't have time to oftentimes get in there and clean as you need to. The other place that you see them a lot is in these specialty shops. So you have breweries, smoothie shops, bars at hotels, bars wherever you see them, at airports. All of those things, all of those are areas where you can focus your energy and focus your time trying to get those clients. Other places that are very prone, nursing homes. Nursing homes is where I kind of got my foot in the ground when I had a pest control business, and starting with doing biosanitation and disinfection. Grocery stores, if you think about that, every time you go to the grocery store and you're in the produce aisle, you're going to see small flies. And then when you get really good at this, you can go after the big dogs, and that's the athletic stadiums and arenas. Plenty of food vendors, plenty of dumpsters. There's always beer, beverages spilled everywhere. So you're always going to have a lot to do in those certain circumstances. And one of the things to point out here is that you're not really talking about food all the time. So a lot of people may think that it's food and food debris, but a lot of times it can be organic sources of any kind. You can have small fly outbreaks in facilities that deal with mulch, grass clippings. So some of those areas as well. A few things in the pictures you see right here, you see gyms. Gyms are very prone to having flies, especially in the restroom areas and in the locker rooms. So these kitchens and kind of semi-commercial, commercial kitchens all provide the perfect opportunity for small flies to flourish. They have constant food waste, consistent moisture, and high temperatures that speed up growth. They're closed at night when most insects are active. And of course, we've talked about already, there's minimal cleaning, and most of the time you're going to see infrequent repairs. And those are things like the tiles that pop up, or the baseboards that are missing rarely get repaired. Food particles get shoved back there, and then you have the start of a great small fly infestation. Now, oftentimes when you see a small fly on your fork, and this is a picture of a meal that I had, most people see a small fly as a nuisance and they shoo it away. But one thing I think about is, where did that small fly come from? And most likely that small fly came from something that looks like this. So they come from that gross filth, the nastiness. They're carrying all kinds of things on their bodies as they pupate into adults and start moving around. So these small flies often breed in those unsanitary conditions, and those unsanitary conditions often are filled with bacteria, mold, mildew, other things that they can latch onto their bodies, and they can cross-contaminate. So one thing to think about is that those plates that are cleaned every night and set aside, those plates, that silverware, if you have small flies and cockroaches, it doesn't matter if those are clean right now. By the time the morning comes, those small flies, the cockroaches have walked all over these clean plates, and now they are filled with disease-causing agents. So something to remember, small flies reproduce rapidly. So once one red-eyed fruit fly can lay 500 eggs, and so you end up with about 125,000 possible adult flies in 3 weeks. So this means that even if you have a dramatic reduction in populations, you can still have tons of adult small flies coming out. So it's really critical to do a complete service and think about every aspect of it. That's the sanitation, that's the insecticide use, and the biosanitation as a complete cycle. So step one in your program is disinfection. You want to reduce the disease-causing agents that flies and cockroaches are carrying by adding that disinfection process to your protocol. So disinfecting drains, disinfecting surfaces, and that will also keep you from getting any of these diseases that are found in the drains or the cockroaches or the small flies are transferring from surfaces as well. Pest elimination, you want to select the correct products that kill adults and provide reproductive control. And also, one big thing is preventing the populations from spreading from one small area to an entire facility. The last step is biosanitation. It's very crucial because you have things like the buildup of food particles, you have biofilm, and you have that nasty scum. And you cannot clean those things by pouring disinfectants down a drain. They'll disinfect the surface, but you actually need to break down some of those fats, oils, and carbohydrates in the process. Now, drainage systems are interconnected highways, and one of the things we talk about is how small flies and cockroaches can find everything they need for success. That biofilm, that slime, that scum that builds up in the pipes is full of carbohydrates for cockroaches and small flies to live in. So think about the interconnectivity of pipes and those drainage systems when you're going through facilities. Pest elimination. So our newest product on the market is NIBR-D plus IGR, and it has solved some problems in commercial facilities that have been impossible. So it is a foaming aerosol that penetrates deep into cracks and crevices. You can use it for spot treatments and drains. The foam applies the AI to all surfaces in a 3D level. You could use these, drain gels, liquid sprays. They really don't do this. The power of foam is that foam goes in, expands, and deposits the AI on all surfaces. NIBR-D plus IGR is special because it turns food debris and that biofilm and that scum into bait, which makes it so that the small fly larvae cannot actually live and breed in that material. And even if you're talking about cockroaches, the cockroaches can't feed on that material either. So NIBR-D plus IGR kills by 4 different ways: kills by contact, kills by residual deposits, that's treating the scum and the filth that's around, kills by reproductive and developmental control with the IGR, and it provides that infestation prevention because borates diffuse into that material, making other areas in that commercial kitchen facility or school or daycare, making it so that the small flies cannot use that for breeding. Now, talking about biosanitation a little bit, it's a topic that a lot of people don't understand, but it's very, very simple to use and very, very simple to explain under most circumstances. So it utilizes beneficial microbes to clean, reduce organic buildup, and actively break down those proteins, carbohydrates, fats, oils, and greases. It doesn't do it extremely rapidly. It is a process that has to be done over time. And because Foam Fresh and Bacizap are actually not pesticides, they are cleaners, they're biological cleaners. These products can actually be sold to the commercial kitchens to use after your services. So we have a full technical staff, and also one thing I wanted to point out is that we have this small fly and cockroach control protocol that we offer, and it is full of information. If you're just getting started in small flies and cockroach, or small fly or cockroach control protocols for commercial kitchens, for schools, daycares, all the other facilities that I talked about in here, it'll be a great guide for you. And I can say when I first started my pest control company way back in the day, one of the ways that I differentiated myself from other companies around was that I offered complete services for small flies and cockroaches, which kind of got my foot in the door for a lot of different organizations. So when you are capable and able to get rid of small flies on a consistent basis, it really kicks the door wide open for your company to succeed and to progress and to get that additional income from not only the small fly service, but from the full service that you offer. So thank you for your time, and please feel free, my information's right here, to call and ask any questions. Or, you know, Nisus Corporation is all about helping businesses get bigger and make more money. So if you're looking to grow and looking to grow with success in a small fly commercial kitchen type of a situation, then please feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. J. Up next, we have Bill Holz, who is the Director of Sales for the Rescom division of Thermistor, the world leader in residential and light commercial dehumidification solutions. He started his career in the home services industry in the late 80s, and because of his well-rounded background, he understands the challenges that contractors and home service providers face. So Bill holds a certified general contractor's license in the state of Florida, and he is a NARI certified remodeler. So I'm going to turn over the controls to you, Bill.
Bill, you are muted, so can you try to unclick your speaker?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today about dehumidification and how you can help your customers and grow your business at the same time. When we think about dehumidification and we look at the opportunity that is dehumidification, we're talking about an opportunity that is 250,000 new homes a year that are built on crawl spaces. And we're also talking about 76 million houses a year that are already in existence and built on crawl spaces. So when we think about crawl space encapsulation or dehumidifying a crawl space, the opportunity that we have out there is growing every year, and it's epic to begin with. When we look at what that means to you in terms of revenue, if you were simply to add one dehumidifier sale, and I'm not even talking about encapsulated crawl spaces, I'm talking about if you can uncover one crawl space or basement for that matter a week that could benefit from dehumidification. For instance, you find a dehumidifier that's not working, and we would teach you how to test dehumidifiers to find out if they're working or not. Or you could find a crawl space that somebody sealed and didn't put a dehumidifier in. If you simply could find one of those opportunities a week, you'd be talking about adding $80,000 to $100,000 a year in top line revenue to your business for doing nothing more than taking out of a box, putting it in the basement, plugging it in, and running a drain. It's literally that simple. So this opportunity for you to grow your business, it exists. You're encountering these opportunities on a daily basis. I'm just here to help you take advantage of those opportunities. This isn't going to go away anytime soon. We've got building codes that are absolutely driving these HVAC systems to be placed in conditioned spaces. And as a result of that, I firmly believe that you are going to see an increased number or an increased percentage of encapsulated crawl spaces each and every year. Let's take a look at the codes that are driving the need for dehumidification in crawl spaces. And let's take a look at what the energy code says that we can do on encapsulated crawl spaces, or you may refer to them as conditioned crawl spaces or unvented crawl spaces. So basically what we're talking about is any space that's under the main living area that is going to be enclosed. And if we're going to enclose that space, there's a couple of different methods that the code provides us as ways to quote unquote condition the crawl space. The problem that we have with all of them except for dehumidification is that they are going to create a whole new set of challenges while trying to solve a challenge, and that being moisture in a crawl space. I also want to point out that when we look at what's the definition of dehumidification, it's pretty straightforward. It's the removal of moisture or water from the air. That's what we're talking about. And when you look at what the energy code allows for ways to attempt to reduce the relative humidity in a crawl space, that's what it's talking about here. It's talking about reducing the relative humidity. It's really not talking about dehumidifying the space. And in my opinion, those are two entirely different things. So one of the ways that it allows us to address this is by literally having an exhaust ventilation system in the crawl space. And that includes an airspace or an air path to the common area. And we'll talk about why that's not a good idea. We'll also look at 2.2, which again includes returning the air, a pathway back to the common area. It's just not something that we want to get involved in. And it absolutely allows installing a dehumidifier. So what do most of the options have in common is that there's little to no equipment cost. They absolutely don't manage a relative humidity year round, and they absolutely allow for the airflow of air that's in that crawl space to get into the living area. But I would say most importantly, what they include as a common element is that they're not actually removing moisture from the air. They're just pushing that moisture through other parts of the house. When we look at conditioning the airspace in the crawl space with the 2.2 method, yeah, you don't need any equipment. It's really easy. But what you're doing is you're simply diluting the moisture. You're trying to take what you believe to be drier air and push it into that crawl space. But what happens is any moisture that's in that crawl space ends up getting pushed into the other areas of the home, which creates a whole new set of problems for you. Also, I don't really know how many people are excited about taking their crawl space air and dumping it into their house and having to breathe that air. So I really don't believe that this is a good way for you to go. Another option that you have is that you could also look at adding supply air. So you could absolutely add supply air. You see this all the time. You'll have a register in the crawl space, and that register is taking conditioned air from the home and they're putting it into the crawl space. And as a result of that, again, you are taking that moisture that's in that crawl space and you are dumping it into other areas of the home. You're forcing it into other areas of the home. Another challenge that you have with this is at the times of the year when you do have air conditioning going on in your house, you're actually going to be introducing an air temperature that is in many cases colder than the air temperature that's in the crawl space. And as a result of that, you're going to absolutely end up raising the relative humidity in those spaces. So again, we're not removing moisture from the air with either of these methods. We're literally just dumping some fresh air or sucking some fresh air. When I say fresh, I mean air that's not from that area into the crawl space. So you're displacing it and you're hoping that the air that you're putting in there is going to be better than the air that you're pushing out. The reality is The only way you can dehumidify a crawl space, in other words, removing the moisture, is going to be with a dehumidifier. Set that dehumidifier at 55% and let it rip. One of the benefits to having a dehumidifier is one of the byproducts of pulling moisture out of the air through a dehumidifier is that that dehumidifier is going to generate a little bit of heat. And that heat is a really good thing when it's in a crawl space because it's actually going to accelerate or add in the lowering of the relative humidity. And the reason for that is for every 1 degree you change the temperature, relative humidity is going to change by 2 points. So if you are to raise the temperature 1 degree in the space, you will in effect be lowering the relative humidity by 2 points. On the flip side of that, when you use an air conditioner and you try to dump air conditioned air into that crawl space and you lower the temperature, you'll actually be raising the relative humidity in the space if you're not removing moisture and you're just changing temperature. So controlling the temperature is key to this. What's also key to this is that you have an efficient dehumidifier that's been designed to work in the conditions in which you're going to ask it to work. So you're going to want to make sure that you know how that dehumidifier is going to work when it's in the cold conditions that a crawl space is. The living area is always going to be warmer than the conditions in that crawl space. The crawl space is subterranean space, and what you have from your thermostat or in a whole home environment is going to be radically different than the temperatures that you're going to see in the crawl space. And as such, you want to make sure that you've got a unit that's been designed and tested to work in those colder conditions. You'll see that there are 2 different rating systems on dehumidifiers now. You'll see some are rated as portable and some are rated as whole house. The basic difference there is the rating method and the test conditions. A whole house rated unit is going to be tested at 7360, and a unit that's rated as a portable unit is going to be rated at the conditions of 65 degrees and 60% relative humidity. So just be aware of where you're putting the unit, and you make the decision as to what conditions you think it's going to encounter and choose your equipment accordingly. So what should you be looking for when at a customer's home trying to determine if that customer could benefit from a dehumidifier? Musty odors, high levels of relative humidity in the crawl space, low settings on their thermostat in their main living area. Are you seeing condensation on their ductwork or in their crawl space? Microbial growth? Do they have portable dehumidifiers, portable air cleaners? Do you see cupping of the wood floors in their primary living area? Those are all indications that you could have a situation where a customer could benefit from a dehumidifier. This is a little tool that you can use as well, and you can find it at eClimate Notebook. And this would allow you to take the conditions of the crawl space, enter it into this little calculator, and you would determine what your mold risk is, your chances of mechanical damages, natural aging, metal corrosion, all based upon the conditions of that crawl space. And that would help you have conversations with your customer about what's actually going on down in that crawl space. If you decide to get into this, you're gonna have to spend a couple of bucks, not a lot. You'll need a thermal hygrometer, and you're gonna need some type of a moisture meter. There's gonna be penetrating meters, which means they have no pins, you just set them on the surface, or penetrating meters, which have little pins that'll give you a moisture reading in the wood, probably about a ½ inch into the wood. You're gonna need both of these items. You can find them both on Amazon. You can probably find both of these items for 35 bucks a piece on Amazon. It's a really cheap investment. And again, invest 70 bucks in your business and give yourself a chance to make 100 grand a year top line. I'd make that deal all day long personally. When you talk about what's the benefit to the homeowner, you're talking about better air quality. And you're definitely talking about better air quality in the living space, because up to 40% of the air that originates in your home, that ends up in your home, originates in your crawl space. So if we can take that air and we can treat that air and we can filter that air and we can dry that air, you're going to have significantly healthier air entering the home, and definitely healthier air than if you're simply taking that crawl space and pressurizing it and forcing that air into other parts of the house. You also are going to be able to protect that home against the things that we mentioned on the earlier slide. The wood rot, the cupping of the floors, the mold, the mildew, any of those moisture related problems that you have. And you're going to be able to offer that customer a far more comfortable home than they've experienced if you use the other methods. You'll also end up with fewer pests and critters as well, and you'll have a green pest control solution that you can offer your customers. And this is key to a well-rounded pest management plan. Fewer chemicals in the home. You're going to have customers that have chemical sensitivity. If we can dry that house out, we're going to make that an environment where pests aren't going to want to hang out. And as a result of that, the customer is going to end up with a far healthier home with fewer pests. So with that, I will turn it over to the next speaker. I appreciate your time and look forward to your questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Up next, we have Don Main, who is the National Sales Manager at Enviro Protection Industries, also known as EPIC, helping companies grow their organic repellents product categories by developing training and product assortments that benefit customers in their marketing areas. I will turn the controls over to you in just a moment here, Don.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. All right, Don, you should be able to control it with your keyboard arrows, or there's some arrows on the bottom left of the
I
screen.
don't see my presentation up. I still see homeowner benefits from the last gentleman.
Yours is just right, there we go.
There we go, there we go. And all right, so good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending on where you're at. I just really want to talk about EPIC as a company. The gentleman that started our company, Dave Cutterback, started the company in 2001 in the New York area. They had a problem in that area with deer, and he came up with a solution that worked really well. And that being the basis of our company, we have developed many different products that we're going to talk about here this morning and kind of show you what we've done moving forward. We love animals, we respect nature. We've built a product that's 100% organic and safe to use in almost all circumstances. And Jeff, I don't see my arrows there to move forward here. Jeff, are you with me?
If you'd like, I can just advance for you.
Yeah, would you advance? Because I do not have the arrows on my screen. So. Next slide, please. All right, so I kind of talked about who we are and what we're trying to do, and the fact that we love animals, respect nature. Pest and nuisance come up all the time when you're talking to customers in the field. Most of you are out dealing with issues with cats or moles or deer or rabbit issues. Our products address those issues. The product is a barrier product. We use it in an application that's dry, so you don't have to worry about rain damaging your application a few days later. Most customers, you put down a liquid application, within a few days, if they get some rain, the product's no longer working. So would you advance the next slide, Jeff? This is go to the next slide, Jeff. So I talked about the company starting in 2001. Today, we're the #1 selling granular repellent product in the United States. We ship a lot of product overseas. We've shipped our snake repellent down into South America. The products work well and they're ready to use. There's no mixing involved. Everything is a natural ingredient. They're effective in most seasons. There is a fall application in a lot of markets. It's safe around people and pets. The products are long lasting, they're environmentally safe, and they are suitable for organic gardens. Number one, they won't harm other animals. They're specifically designed to work on certain issues within the needs of that particular product. Next slide, please. Our products are formulated to work with specific pests. It's not an all-in-one repellent. There are a lot of liquid items out there where you spray the product on to work in a lot of different circumstances. They don't necessarily work specifically on deer or rabbit. Our products are specifically designed for the issue. Next slide, Jeff. We have higher active ingredients. On the pro side, we have a retail side to this product line. The pro side has higher active ingredients. The products last longer because of that. They benefit the soil because it's an organic material. When you apply it, you're actually adding organic material to the areas that you're trying to solve the problem. We feel we outperform every other product in the market. Next slide, please, Jeff. This slide shows you application life. In most cases, our products last 30 to 45 days. Liquids, as a comparison, last 4 to 8 days, and that's if you don't get any moisture or rain. It's easily applied with a spreader or a scoop that we supply in most of the buckets. With the liquid, you're mixing or diluting product. Our product is beneficial for the soil. The liquid product washes away and is really of no benefit at all. We're 100% organic and safe to use. And liquids, we don't always know what those materials are. Next slide, please. This slide kind of shows you what each particular product does in the deer rabbit situation. We're giving off an aroma that puts fear of death in the animal if they cross over the application band. Mole, gopher, armadillo, wild hog. We use products that they don't like the taste of. It upsets their stomach. They want to go someplace else. And once they leave that area, they don't normally come back. Geese, coots, voles, taste and smell. You apply it in an area. Geese have become a huge problem in a lot of areas, especially with golf courses and schools. By applying this product, the geese will leave the area and they will not come back. Snake, iguana, that's a product that works in a taste situation. They get it on their skin, they get it on their tongue, and they don't like it, then they leave. Skunk, cats, dogs, that's again uses the smell and taste and trains them away from that area. Next slide, please. I'm going to run through each one of our products. When I talk to people, it shows I'm surprised at how many people have not heard of the environmental protection industry's product listing. So kind of run through those for you real quickly and let you know what we have. Deer Scram was our first product. We train the deer to stay away from protected areas. It's a #1 selling granular product in the US. It's long lasting, it won't wash off in the rain, and actually moisture does help release the pheromones more quickly, and it does work as well or better with some moisture. It's environmentally safe, won't harm animals, people, or pets, and that's pretty much true of all of our products. You can use it year-round, winter, fall, spring. Whenever you have a deer issue, this is an opportunity for you to sell your customer on a product that really works. Next slide, please. Goose Scram, that's one of our newest products. Again, works well on customers with lakes on their golf courses and sidewalks and golf cart paths. This product works well in keeping the geese out of the area. You basically are training them to leave and they will not come back. Again, works in any season regardless of temperature. Next slide, please. Mole Scram. If you have a mole issue, this is a product we've done very well with. Fairly new to the lineup. We brought it out in about 2012. and it's become one of our #1 selling items. It's a high concentrate of formulas that repel the moles, and it works in 3 ways. It coats and then turns the tunnels and surrounding areas into a bad smelling situation, and it effectively lessens the food availability, denying the moles a place to survive, so they'll move on to a different area. Next slide, please. Snake Scram, one of our earlier products, works with all types of snakes and works really well. Once you use the Snake Scram product in an area, the snake will not come back. They don't like the taste, they don't like the feel on their skin. They will leave the area. It won't harm other reptiles, people, or pets. Next slide, please. Skunk Scram, that's again a product that works with an offensive taste and smell. It stops lawn damage. Skunks can get in under porches. They can cause a lot of damage. This product trains them to leave the area and move on. Next slide, please. Rabbit Scram, that was the second product in our lineup. A similar formulation to Deer Scram, not exactly the same. All our formulas are formulated for specific use with certain animals. This one trains them to stay away. The protection area keeps, if you've put in new bedding plants, you know in the past that rabbits love anything fresh and new, and they'll come in and eat them. This product keeps them away. They don't like the smell. They don't like the taste. They'll move on. Next slide, please. Iguana Scram is for you folks down in Florida and Hawaii, and it works again by taste and smell. Creates a situation where they will move on to your neighbor or move away entirely. Again, a dry product, no mixing required. Next slide, please. Gopher Scram works in a similar way to the Mole Scram. It's a taste and smell product. Again, ready to use. We keep telling you we're ready to use this particular product. If you can apply it to the areas where the gophers are coming out of their holes, it works better. Again, works last 35 to 45 days and does repel because it's a smell and taste product. Next slide, please. Wild hog is becoming an issue all over the country. We've got wild hogs in the south and in the north, west coast. If you've got any customers with wild hog issues, I suggest you give our product a try. It stops the activity of the hogs in the area. They can create a lot of damage in a hurry. Again, organic, it's safe around plants, people, and pets, and it will work all season long. This is a program you could start with a customer and reapply every 35 to 60 days and increase revenue during the year. Next slide, please. Cat Scram is fairly new for us. We have a lot of customers, landscape contractors with customers that have issues around bird feeders, sandboxes for children. This is an area where you can use this product to keep the cats out of the area. Again, most people love cats. They don't want to hurt them, but they don't want them in their bird feeders. They don't want them in their sandboxes. So use this product to keep the cats away. Another application, if you're servicing any kind of warehousing situation, feral cats have become a real problem, and this works well for feral cats also. Next slide, please. Armadillo Scram. Armadillos have moved pretty far north. They're up into Oklahoma, Texas, that southeastern region of the United States, moving north, and have become a real issue. We have had lots of customers using our product with very good results. It repels them, it keeps them out of your environment and moves them off to other areas. It's an all season long product, and it's ideal for areas where you already have an infestation. Next slide, please. Full Scram. Again, moles, goals, and gophers are all an issue in many different parts of the United States. The vole is more the size of a small mouse, and they can do a lot of damage in a hurry. In fact, they're out there right now in the fall, and vole scram is a good application for fall. They're out there creating damage right now. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we feel we're the best product out there to solve your issues with small pests. We don't cover, I get calls for raccoons and squirrels. We do not have products that work on those particular animals right now. Any product that we create and market has to work. We do an extensive amount of testing to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. We want to make your customers happy and satisfied, and we want you to get the results that you promise them. So our products are built to do the job. Next slide, please. This little territory map we put together, depending on what market you're in, kind of indicates the products that you might be able to sell or use in your marketing area. Some of those are changing. The armadillos have moved into different areas from where we started, but we try and keep it up to date. And this is available on our professional repellents website if you need this information for your area. Next slide, please. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. I am available to help you with any questions. We have staff in-house that can answer questions or try and help you resolve issues in the field. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate it very much. Up next, we have Richard Cruz, who is our very own account executive at Veseris. He has resided in San Antonio for 53 years. He's been in urban entomology for 21 years. He has also owned and operated a pest management company from 2002 to 2008. And after that, he had gone on to chemical distribution, working for Veseris since 2008. He is a certified applicator licensed in pest and termite control in Texas, and he's also an associate certified entomologist. So I will turn things over to you, Richard.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate the introductory. Thanks everybody for joining. Looks like we have 37 attendees on the call, as from what I can tell. And I'm pretty excited about introducing you guys to inventory management and why it's important. There are several out there in the market. There are a bunch popping up, you know, but so that you guys feel comfortable with all of this, that I have tested every single one that's out there just about, and some that I just haven't, simply because I just bypass them. They're not industry specific. They're just made for particularly like service type businesses, whether it be uniform or maybe a Frito-Lay company or something like that. So kind of bypass some of those so that some of you guys know that if you were on PestPack or Marathon Data or any of those types of inventory modules, that I did actually do a lot of the research on a lot of those for those software companies. And the irony to that, all of that, is that they were charging me for my research on that. So it's kind of bizarre. But
Hey, Richard,
so
I don't
yes.
mean to interrupt, but could you speak up just a little louder?
Okay.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So so with that, you know, I did get to test some of the out of the box softwares that were out there for you to manage your inventory, and again, the Marathon Data PestPack inventory module. What I discovered through that process, though, is that a lot of inventory modules were either way overkill or they were not just doing enough. So what Veseris had the fortitude to do 9 years ago, and again, this is not something that we just thought about and hoped that we would throw into the industry. We tested it extensively for about 6 years. And if you know anything about our background, we're very careful about what we bring to market so that it does what it says it's going to do. And that's even in our product lines. So it's everything that we do, we test very extensively. So I have about 6 years in beta with the software. We went live with it 4 years ago. So we have now had it live with customers across the country. And I'll give you a little bit of information on that as I move forward. So why is it important to manage your inventory? So one of the KPIs that you track as a pest management business is cost to route revenue. What does it cost me to run that route? That gives you a lot of insight into your business. So when you start looking at that M&S line on your P&L statement, you want that thing to hover around 6.5 to 7%. So with inventory management tool of some type, you start to meet that KPI that you're looking for and stay around that national average. And to give you guys an idea, if I were to look at all truck locations and warehouses across the country, we're managing right now about 12 to 17,000 if I included Canada in that. And yes, I did say Canada, and that's how confident we are in this, is that we did launch a Canadian version of this, so that you guys know and can't tell that I am from South Texas, so I do not speak French, I speak Texan. And it was a big transition because I didn't speak in kgs, I speak in ounces and grams. So it was a big learning curve for me, but we got through it. But nonetheless, it's still the same KPI whether you're in Canada or you in the US. So I highly encourage you to look at some type of inventory management, and I will tell you industry-wide, we've all done it the same way, either Google Doc sheets or fancy Excel sheets, and then we're trying to reconcile at the end of the month and figure out where our KPI is. But inevitably with that system, there is a data break in that. So some of you guys may be smiling at that, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Someone took some stuff, didn't write it down, now I'm looking at it. Or the classic, left a post-it note on my desk or a text message asking me for Max Force, and I'm saying, great, that's 14 SKUs, Max Force FC, Max Force Magnum, Max Force Complete, which one are you asking for? So with this, it gives you accountability and visibility into your inventory at all times, because the best way to manage your branch from an inventory standpoint is trying to stay within that KPI. It also allows you to make purchases based on demand and not speculation. So, and what I mean by that is you can forecast your warehouses, and that's the portion of our software that I'm about to show you when I flip through these slides, so that you can see that portion of it. Now, that was one of the big things that we shared as Veseris, is how we manage our warehouses across the country, and it's through forecasting. So we buy our inventory and we do not over purchase or under purchase at our locations. Simply, we base that on demand of our customers. So we shared that very insight with you because you should be running your warehouse the same way. You should be buying that inventory based on demand of your customer, not just speculation. How do I know about this? I was very guilty of it. I owned and operated a pest control company for many years, had about 10 trucks on the road. So it was the inevitable. I would just go to the distributor, order 5 cases, 6 cases of something, stick it on the shelf, forget about it for a while, wait for it to bear fruit. But inevitably, what I did is I tied up cash flow, because there's 2 things that you really can't control in a pest management business: is the cost of fuel and the cost of insurance. Those things go up the next day or something happens. And as you guys know, for fuel, that could go up 35 cents to 40 cents just by going to bed that night and waking up the next morning and it's gone up. Just can't control it. But what I can control is how much cash I'm tying up in inventory in my warehouse. So we're going to teach you how to do that through the inventory management system that we have. And I'm going to show you the portion of it that's called forecasting within the software and why it's important to have something like this in place. Now, one of the things that I did do, and I know this is very long introductory to my slides, but my slides are very short. Why is that important? Because it gives us visibility into everything and makes everything live at that point. One of the things I learned in researching inventory modules out there is that some of those modules you had to go out and buy expensive equipment, such as barcoding scanners or maybe Intermec handhelds. And if you've ever done Coposan type accounts, Intermec handhelds are anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. So it would be foolish for Veseris to come to the market and say, hey, you're going to have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive equipment in order to manage your inventory. Well, what we decided to do, and why it took us 6 years to come to market with this, is simply because this software will work on every single device you own today, whether that be iPhones, Android phones, ThinkPads, laptops, desktops. It does not matter what it is. Our software will function the same as if you were sitting at your desk. Because at the end of the day, we want you out in the field doing what you do best, and that's quality control and customer retention, taking your hands off the wheel of inventory. So with that, I'm going to show you the forecasting portion of this, and let's see if it'll work here. So with the pre-approved product system, so one of the things that we do as an industry is that we give you guys a quote if you're not on national MSRP, and most of you aren't if you're a valued customer to Veseris. You guys are on pricing based on rebates and so on and so forth. So that list may look like 150 items, maybe 125 items on the list. For enterprise level size companies, it could be anywhere up in the words of 300. That does not mean that those whole lists need to be visible to my entire staff or my branches across the country, or just even my location. So you will go through a product approval and approve only the products that you want to use for that moment. That way, you're only using the products that you're approving at that particular rotational, if you're doing rotational baits, or maybe you're just putting a technical program together. This is what I call shaping my inventory. Why is this important? Well, again, guilty of it, and I'll raise my hand every time to this. I felt very good about confidence in the technician in his chemistry. So in other words, I would have one guy that was really comfortable with Talstar and one guy really comfortable with Demand or Suspend or any of the products out there. But inevitably what would happen with that is if I had a person with a high callback rate, I never knew if it was the chemistry or the technician. By calling this shaping my inventory, I will put them on a very specific product portfolio that I want them to see on their app, on their phone. Now, what I will tell you about our software, it is not connected to anybody's system, not even Veseris' system. It does have a very soft API that only exchanges two things, that product code number and the description of that product, and it pulls it into the software. But again, this is very specific for you and your company. I do not push in Veseris' 5,000 plus SKUs into your software and go, here you go, have a great time with this. That's not what happens. I build this software around your company so that it is functioning and you're looking at the data that is very pertinent to your business, not everybody else's. So again, thus the reason it is not tied to anybody's system. This is for all internal reconciliation from the warehouse, from the supplier into the warehouse, and then warehouse onto the truck. So it's very intuitive when it comes to managing your business. You start to create a culture within your business where you're not only managing your inventory, now we're helping you manage your people out in the field, because we build that culture into saying, you're going to use a very specific product portfolio that I, as a manager or a branch manager or an owner of a company, decide what I want visible to you. You can turn those on and turn those off. So if you were doing bait rotational and you wanted to use, say, a particular cockroach bait today, and then you wanted 3 months later, you wanted to switch it to something else, you just simply go in there and uncheck these green check marks, and the product goes away from that particular technician's app. You can build it specifically for termite work. You can build it specifically for rodent work. Residential, commercial. You can build a lot of product portfolios within the software that is very specific to that business. Now, if you're doing residential and commercial, those are probably going to align the same. So what I would suggest through the process of setup is that we talk about that together, and then we shape this software to meet your demand. If you have a system in place, say you are using Excel sheets or Google Doc sheets or some sort of checkout sheet, then we set up the software to meet that demand. What I do not like to do is throw a big grenade in the middle of your company and say, here you go, everybody's going to learn a new software and we're going to do it this way. We tried to shape the software from a customizable standpoint to flow and interact exactly the way you're doing things today. We're just going to use an app to do it with. And yes, it is an app that you will download from the Google or Apple Play Store right onto your smart devices. So this is the set min max that I was talking about. This is how we do forecasting. We give you a 12-month calendar for you to look at, and you can account for seasonal demand when it comes to products. So for instance, if this were a Suspend SC product and I wanted to spray those in the hot months and maybe switch to, say, a non-micro cap or a non-SC product in the winter months, then I would forecast it accordingly. I would say, well, in the winter months, I'm going to forecast, say, something like bifenthrin or some kind of other type of product like Talstar. And then in the summertime, I want the forecasting for the summertime to come bring me back to an SC. So the software starts to watch your mins and maxes. And then what you do is you fill out your max level on the shelf. So in January, I could tell it, hey, I want 10 on the shelf, but I want you to alert me when I get down to 5. So as your technicians start to pull away from the warehouse, it ticks it down to an order point, and then it tells you, hey, Richard, internally, it is now time to order Suspend because you asked me to watch it as it goes out to the trucks. Once it gets to an order point, it sends me an internal email that I look at and go, yeah, that looks like something that I need to order because I've set the forecasting. Now I will send it to a supplier. Okay, so it is all internal use. This is not attached to anyone, and I cannot stress that to you more. It is truly an added value that we are bringing to you as a Veseris customer for you to help manage your business. We know that it reciprocates in a lot of different ways for us because it helps us at our end of forecasting. Not only that, we get to help you forecast your warehouse as well. Setting reorder limits and frequency levels. So you may want it to look at data points on a certain day. So maybe you have a certain delivery date that you want to meet. So if you place your orders on Tuesday and we deliver to you on Thursdays, then you may want to set this up to look at those data points on a specific day and time. So in this case, it would be Monday at midnight on a weekly basis. I want you to look at all data points that I have put in there. And it will look at it at that night. And then what it will do is it will send you the information on what needs to be ordered on Tuesday morning in order to bring your warehouse to full. Now, what I do help you do is set this software up. So don't panic on that. You know, pain is always in the setup. I walk you through step by step and set it up the way you want to see it, not the way I suggest it should be set up. Again, very, very customizable. We have developed what I call a gold standard inventory management system for the industry. And I will tell you that I have fallen into a lot of potholes and I have fallen into a lot of issues over the 6 years of being in beta. Because what we did at that point is we sent it out to enterprise level companies all the way down to the 3-man operation or 2-man operation. And it should function the same for both types of industry size companies out in the field, so it operates very, very similarly the same way. But again, you get to decide how you want this set up. Now, you can run it as a full manual system. Say, hey, I just want my guys to be able to have an open cart. They can have what they want, but I get to watch it at that point. You can decide how that looks and how you shape that. What I do not do is I do not throw you a 400-page manual and say, here you go, have a great time setting this up. I will walk you through step by step in 3 phone calls, 15 minutes long, and help you get this software set up. To give you guys an idea of how quick it sets up, if you were a branch, say with 30 trucks at a particular branch, it takes about an hour and a half to get it up and running and you're off to the races. So very, very quick setup. Truck technician product use. So it starts to give you that KPI, cost to route revenue, because now all of our inventory is visible. We see where it's coming and going at any time. We can track technicians' chemistry. Now, this system was never designed for Big Brother to be watching over a technician's shoulder. And believe me, they will have that feeling. It really is for you to manage your inventory. And it really helps the technician at the end of the day. No more long text messages, no more emails, or no more post-it notes on your door that says, you know, again, like, I need some Max Force, and that's great. That's 15 SKUs that I carry. Which Max Force are you talking about? So those things kind of go away. It helps us to get use reports and really start to marry that cost to route revenue for you. There's going to be a lot of great reporting in this software. It's going to show you current inventories on hand. It will give you inventory history. So if your Veseris rep calls you and says, hey, there's a really nice point of sale on maybe some Nibor D foam. Let's just use that one as an example since that was on our call today. And you get, you know, a rebate per can at the point of sale. I should be able to go into my inventory history and see how much I've purchased in a date range. And then I can make a comprehensive purchase again. So the idea is to give you visibility into making those comprehensive purchases and looking at reporting. It will show you where your inventory has gone from the time that it hits supplier into the warehouse onto the truck. Now, let me touch something about trucks and technicians. Trucks are static locations, so it's kind of funny when I do these types of talks or setups with companies, and I ask, and sometimes I say, well, I've got one warehouse and I've got 5 trucks on the road. The way I view that is that actually you're a company that has 6 locations. You have one that happens to be brick and mortar, and 5 that happen to be running around on the you know, warehouse on wheels is what I call it. So that is all still your company asset, and that's all your still company material. So you should have visible into all of your locations of your company. So again, I kind of smile when people tell me, well, I'm only 1 location and I'm only 5 trucks. Well, you're actually 6 locations out on the road because now we're tracking all 6 of your locations. Again, it is to help Those technicians keep those trucks stocked for the week to get all of their services done. If any of you guys have ever had this phone call, and I tell this joke, if you've ever seen a little plume of smoke coming from South Texas when I did truck inspection, or I got this phone call telling me I drove 2 hours in traffic and I got to a customer's house and I did not have what I needed to do the job on the truck, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, as a manager, your blood pressure goes up and you ask yourself, why did you leave my warehouse without the proper inventory? If I'm a manager and I have visibility, those things start to go away. Truck inspections become a lot easier. You stop finding 5 half bottles of the same product on a truck and they're pulling a brand new bottle from the warehouse. We start to have visibility into what's being used. Now, this is not pounds on the ground. You're not going to track, I put 5 ounces out here and I put 13 ounces out here. This is whole bottle unit from the time from supplier into warehouse onto truck. Once the seal is broken on that, that cost has already been applied to the cost of route revenue. It eliminates waste, and it's that 5 bottle scenario I just gave you. The other waste it eliminates is it starts to help me manage, again, demand, and I don't overstock my warehouse. I lost my train of thought there, guys, because there was a little pause there. So you start buying again on demand, and you don't have all of that cash sitting on the shelf. I can tell you guys a couple good stories. We had a company up in Fort Worth, got on inventory management. They were trying to make an acquisition in Dallas of a company. They were able to pull some really good reporting out of this, take this to their banker, and they knew exactly where that cash was going to come from because we were able to free it up in inventory. We were able to say, hey, wait a minute, we've got X number of dollars on the shelf. We need to use up what we've already purchased. Or maybe I look at my fleet across the board and I'm saying, wait a minute, this guy's got 2 bottles and he's got 3 bottles and he's got 4 bottles. Let's not buy anymore. Let's get some inventory transferred around. Let's start using up the cash flow that is very, very visible to us. So it starts to eliminate waste. So again, that's how inventory management works. It helps you streamline your inventory across all states if you're in multi-states. It helps you streamline even if you're just running 10 trucks to 5 trucks to 2 trucks. And operating becomes more efficiently because now you're only buying the things that you do need. And with that, I will leave it with any questions.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks to all of our presenters. Great information that you've shared with the audience today. We are a little over the top of the hour, but we have time for just a couple of questions, so I will go ahead and ask those, and you guys can respond accordingly. Don, here's one for you asking, which product do you see that may create the best opportunity for increased sales? And your line's muted, so just click on
All
your
right,
screen.
better get unmuted then. I think that each market has a particular product that does the best job. So say you live in Idaho, voles are an issue up there. Or if you live in Florida, iguanas are an issue. Texas, armadillos have become a big problem. Snakes are a big problem. So dependent upon your particular market, think about what's happening in the field, what your customers are seeing as an issue. Rabbit and deer on almost all the areas in the Northeast are very popular items. It's just a way to add increased revenue to the work you're doing in the field.
Great. Thanks, Don. Richard, here's a question for you. They're like, we may have missed this, but am I limited to how many locations I can add using VIM?
So that's the beauty of the software. It is cloud-based, so it holds a tremendous amount of data. No, there are no limits to the amount of trucks. There are no limit to the amount of locations. And the beauty of our software is if you're a Veseris customer, there is no charge to you for this. If you decide that you want to move forward with something like this, just reach out to your Veseris sales rep, and he will get the ball rolling for you.
Perfect. Thanks, Richard.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. J, here's a question for you. This person's asking, how much money does it take to get started in small fly service? And you are muted. I'm going to try to, let's see.
Okay,
There you go.
I've got it now. So the amount of money can be actually very small. You need very little equipment most of the time. So you'll need a foamer, and either in the compounds to put in the foam. You can call us at Nisus Corporation. We have a nice cocktail that you can use for small flies, but also you can get started with aerosol cans, because our Foam Fresh product and our Nibor DIGR product both are used as foam. So you can start with 2 aerosol cans and a 32-ounce bottle of DSV. That's really, and use your BNG to spray the DSV. That's really all you need to get started. You really don't have to have a foamer, but if you're doing larger jobs or you're doing it a lot, you'll want to have a foamer or a power foamer.
Okay, very good. We did get a comment from one of the audience members saying, I have used Rabbit Scram and it works very well. Thanks, Don. So there's some positive feedback there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bill, here's a question for you, asking, why do you rate your units as portable units and not as whole home units?
That's a great question. So we have whole home units and we have portable units, units that we believe will be put into a basement or a crawl space. In other words, units that we believe will see colder conditions than they would in a whole home environment. We rate those units at the 65-60 condition so that the contractor knows exactly what they're going to get in terms of capacity and performance at those colder conditions of 65-60 versus the whole home conditions of 73-60. So we want to make sure that we're testing and certifying and designing our equipment to work in the environment that we know that it'll ultimately end up in.
Great. Thanks, Bill. We are out of time, folks, so I just want to thank you on behalf of our presenters and the Veseris team. Thank you for joining us today. You will receive an email later on today that will have the link to the recording as well as all the contact information for our speakers. So with that, have a great rest of your day and a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks, Chris.
welcome. Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.